Hello, hello, hello. This is the Pulp Report Sports Edition, and I am Sam Rosenberg. I just want to jump right out there and plug all of our social media stuff, because maybe you guys know how to find us, maybe you don't, but we got a lot of things going on. We got a lot of, a lot of irons in the fire. So listen, check out the Pulp Report on Facebook. We've got at Pulp Report on Facebook. Twitter, the Twitter handle is The Irrelevant OP. That's short for The Irrelevant Opinions Productions. That's it's a production house that does Pulp Report. Maybe you don't, maybe you're not aware of that. We also have a SoundCloud page for Pulp Report. You can check out all the podcast versions of it. It's pretty much multiple ways to digest your Pulp Report. So, make sure you know there's multiple options to take it all in. Anyway, let's jump into some NFL football. What's going on with you right now? Okay, the biggest news is Jay Cutler signing with the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill pretty much, I think what they're coming out and saying is it's a partial tear of his left knee. This is the same knee that he hurt last year, which ended his season. He opted not to have surgery. Ryan Tannehill pretty much is scrambling in a non-contact practice in training camp. Hurts his knee bad. It looks bad. It doesn't look bad. Inevitably, it looks bad enough that they go get Jay Cutler. So there was definitely a big back and forth regarding, is Cutler going to come out of retirement? There's a couple of things going for him. He knows Adam Gase already, the coach of the Miami Dolphins, and he knows the offensive scheme already. There's enough training camp that Jay Cutler could sort of step right back in. And let's also be honest here. This was Jay Cutler's biggest gamble. I think he, honest to God, believed that he was going to stay retired. That he was a guy who was like, listen, I only want to play if it's the right situation. The Bears is not the right situation anymore. And the only team that was calling him up was the New York Jets. And he didn't want to go play for a bad New York Jets team. I'm sorry, Jets fans. It's going to be a rough year. You know it, and I know it. He didn't want to play for a bad Jets team. He retires. But you know what? I think in the back of Jay Cutler's mind, he's sitting there going, if the right situation comes, if the stars align, if you get an injury in training camp, this has happened before. Rewind to last year. Teddy Bridgewater destroys his knee like a week before the season, and the Vikings trade for Sam Bradford. Like, this is not unheard of for these things to happen. The stars have aligned. Jay Cutler comes in, signs a 1-year, $10 million deal. I think that was part of it, was making sure he got that starter money, because he wanted to have that. He wanted to have money that justified the hairdo that he has, okay? Do you seen Jay Cutler's hair? It's beautiful. A little bit more beautiful than it should be. But he's the type of guy, that smirk and that hair, he needed to make sure he got his money. So I think that was probably the most talked about thing of this discussion, was how much money were they going to give him. The prospects for the Dolphins, I think, are still pretty good. This is a playoff team. They've got a lot of playoff caliber players. I feel very excited about this team going into this year. I don't know if Jay Cutler's going to take them to the mountaintop. I certainly don't think a Super Bowl, but he's got enough of an arm and an ability to lead a team that I think he could get them to the playoffs. He's certainly a better passer than Ryan Tannehill. This is definitely this is exciting news for the Dolphins. I kind of think it couldn't have worked out better for everybody. Let's see, knock on wood, but let's see. Okay, moving on. Some more football headlines. Jalen Collins from the Atlanta Falcons suspended 10 games. This is now the second straight season where the defensive back out of LSU has been suspended for using performance-enhancing drugs to start the season. The second offense last year was 4 games. Second offense is now 10 games. This deeply hurts this Falcons defense. Now, they're going to kind of rebound from it because, they're the Falcons. They've got depth. But you can't really downplay how much it's going to hurt. There's also, hang on a second. Let me, what's his name? Let me give you his name. Desmond Trufant. So Desmond Trufant was really, Jalen Collins was the guy who took Desmond Trufant's spot when Trufant got hurt last year. So now with Trufant coming back, there's a real feeling of, maybe they'll live without Jalen Collins. It stinks because he played some great football, but he could be on the outside looking in, and that's the reality when it comes to the NFL. One wrong move, and lots of times the NFL means not for long. So just a bad news for Collins here. You also have the Jets, Quincy Enunwa. It's come out that he now has a bulging disc. He's going to be out for 6 to 9 months, so I think we can say that he's going to be done for the year as well. Vince Wilfork of the Houston Texans comes out and says he's going to be retiring. The way he does this is he tweets himself grilling in his backyard, and I think it's also it's also an advertisement for Kingsford, so he gets a little paycheck on his way out there. Vince Wilfork, of course, storied Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. He's played the last 2 years with the Houston Texans. I mean, this guy, a beast of I would say Hall of Fame player, but sad to see him go. More news coming down the pike. Anquan Boldin signs a 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. Anquan Boldin, a really just amazing player, amazing athlete, a guy who has been able to find a way to stay in this league as long as he has. I believe this will be his 15th season. And let me tell you something, he's lost a step. He can't run like he used to, but the guy gets separation. He knows how to box out. He's a smart NFL player, and he's making himself valuable this deep into a long career. Great move by the Buffalo Bills. I like them bringing on Anquan Boldin. That he'll be a nice compliment for Sammy Watkins. Switching over to the NBA, again, not an awful lot of NBA news going on right now. Andrew Wiggins, he wants a max deal. There's some speculation. They're saying the owner wants to have a sit down with him before he opens up his checkbook and gives him crazy money like that. Many of the NBA players are traveling across the world right now. There was a game in Africa. This is kind of this real strong movement by the NBA to become international, and this is really part of it. This is what gets showcased during the summertime for the NBA, because the truth is, most of the excitement that's going on right now is with baseball. This is baseball time. This is truly baseball's time of year. We're getting towards the hunt. It's all coming together. Teams are clearly setting themselves apart. I mean, I think I mentioned in last Pulp Report with the Dodgers trading for Yu Darvish, really dominating right now. You're also seeing, as I mentioned in the last Pulp Report, the kind of neck and neck play of the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yankees trading for Sonny Gray. Like, these are all sort of just kind of lifting and building this pressure cooker right now with the end of the baseball regular season. Some of these teams are clearly well established. Like, you're going to see the Astros are well ahead in that division, have been dominating the Dodgers as well. But, you've got a few other divisions that are a little bit, closer and undecided, like the Indians and the Royals. I still, like I said, the Red Sox and the Yankees as well. But the Nationals are pretty much that whole, listen, my Philadelphia Phillies in that division is terrible. The Nationals are really pretty much going to take it. You got the Cubs and the Brewers and the Cardinals. I mean, they're all, that division is really kind of up for grabs. The Cubs turned it around in the middle of the season. They got to keep this push going. But a lot of excitement going on with the end of the regular season in baseball. Little sad news. Darren Dalton passed away. Very, very sad. Famous. Listen, I'm a huge Phillies fan. Maybe Hall of Fame. I don't know. Great catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. Dutch Dalton was there on that 1993 World Series Phillies team that lost to the Blue Jays. As a Phillies fan, it was amazing to watch him play. Certainly see him play in that World Series. I'm really glad that at the very, very, very end of his career, in the last year he played, he's traded at the trade deadline to the Florida Marlins, and he is essential to that Florida Marlins team winning the World Series in 1997. So at the very end, Dutch Dalton ends up getting that championship ring with the Marlins to kind of cap it all off. Very sad to lose him. He had a long battle with cancer, and just very, very upsetting news, but tragic. Other top news, we've a lot of hubbub going on with Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, getting ready for that fight. I mean, it's gonna be a knockout. But I just really, with that type of stuff, not a big fan of that. But really, just more of a comment on Conor McGregor and this character who's coming out of the MMA, who's kind of coming and taking everything by storm, like understanding that it's not just athletics and sport, but he's also kind of got a personality and a charisma that markets to, just like Floyd Mayweather has a personality and a charisma that markets. It's, when you're talking about sports like boxing and MMA, the non-team sports, there needs to sort of be, kind of an aura about these athletes that sort of commands a little bit more excitement than simply the match. And I think that's what you get with McGregor and Mayweather. And, half of the show is going to be all of the lead up to the big fight. So, you've got that to look forward to as well. Just trying to keep things spicy here in the middle of the summer. Yeah. Now, I'm going to finish with a closing thought. I think about this, and I go through some of the headlines and all the things that are going on in the summertime. It's tough. Sports really does slow down in the summertime. We could spend an entire show talking about baseball right now, but that would be a baseball show, and this is the Pulp Report. We're just giving you a quick rundown of what's going on. So I'm going to finish with a closing thought. My closing thought, I'm going to discuss a little bit about finances in the NFL, and specifically contract negotiations and leverage. I recently came out on some of my other social media accounts, and I was discussing about Leveon Bell holding out for a larger contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reality is right now that Leveon Bell is probably the best running back in football. If, listen, that's arguable. A lot of people can come out and jump out and say there's many of other reasons. I think we can all accept Leveon Bell is one of the top 3 best running backs in football right now. Just for those of you who don't know, that's the reality. He's in a contract year with the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also, just going to say this, Pittsburgh Steelers are a good franchise, treat their players well, pay their players well, they make good decisions. There's some poorly run franchises out there. Pittsburgh Steelers is not one of them. Now, Leveon Bell wants more money. Steelers are not going to give him more money. He is leveraging by holding out and not coming to training camp to get more money. Now, the Steelers have the option to franchise tag him. That means they go and they give him a 1-year deal where he has to sign it. He pretty much, well, unless he doesn't want to play football, but he pretty much has no choice. It's like, this is what you got. We can just tag you and you're here. His salary is made up of the average of the top 5 paid running backs in the NFL. So they take all the other top 5 running backs who are, or at least the 5 highest paid, they average the 5 of their salaries and they say, okay, that's what you're making this year. Right now, that's $12 million. At $12 million, he is making some of the best money for a running back. But Leveon Bell is trying to get more than that. He's trying to get more than $12 million because he thinks he's worth it. But the reality with the marketplace in the NFL, the amount of money that these teams allot for position players like running backs, understanding that there's a high chance and probability of injury, understanding that even though we pay you a lot of money, anything could happen and we might need to rotate you out, and then all of a sudden we're paying you a lot of money to sit on the bench and heal. They only say, you know what, we only really want to, allot X amount. We'll give more to the quarterback. He's a little bit more of a valuable player, but for the running back, we can only give you so much. Leveon Bell's trying to push that and get more. And in the NFL, there's very little leverage that the players have. So holding out from camp is the only thing he can do, but he's not ready for regular season because he's not in training camp getting into shape. He's not in training camp reading the playbook. He's not learning. He's not all of these teensy little things that go into knowing a finely tuned game like football you miss out on because you're not at training camp. And in a way, the fans are sort of like, why is he doing that? Shouldn't he go be a team player and just, he's already making so much, way more money than me, but that's the thing. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But the truth is, that's the only way that Leveon Bell is going to honestly, maybe, possibly get a little bit more money than what he's getting paid now. And he probably deserves a little bit more money because he's that good of a running back. But that's the reality of the NFL, and that's how it works. There's a lot of leverage in the hands of the owners and the league. And, the players in some ways, it's almost like from the league's perspective, it's like you're lucky we're even giving you anything at all. But, That's just that's my final thought on the NFL, at least for today. Thank you for listening to the Pulp Report. This is Sam Rosenberg. As I was saying before, follow Pulp Report on Facebook and check us out on Twitter at the Irrelevant OP. As I said, Irrelevant Opinions Productions, and check out our SoundCloud page as well. Follow us on SoundCloud. You'll also see podcasts. This will also be dropped there as well as on our Facebook and other social media feeds. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll be back soon. Take it easy.